Hello YouTubers. I know it's a bit dark in here. It's even darker. I think that's about it. I know it literally has been a long time since I've been on YouTube. Now, it's starting off as a sad note, really. I had to have Sheba put to sleep yesterday. She had a number of health issues, and she had arthritis. Now the problem is things got really bad and she ended up not being able to stand up. She lost a ton of weight, she really did, and it was a horrible decision to make. You know, I tried delaying it as much as I could, but yesterday it was just, it was horrible, really horrible, you know, and it's actually quite it's quite quiet without her, you know. She, like I say, she ended up losing weight, becoming picky with the food, and her back end became weak, and she was dragging her back legs. I've been to the vets a few times. She had swellings on her neck as well. Today I would have been able, would have been able to take it down to the vets today. I had an appointment today, and obviously things went downhill yesterday, and the vet said it's wise to make that decision, you know, to let her go. She had that bit like Crohn's disease, anal whatever it is, begins with F, and she was on the topical for that. She had arthritis in her knees, and she was on meloxicam for that. She did have an injection 2 weeks ago, more painkiller, but obviously it was too little too late really, and she was on antibiotics because of the swellings. They were going to do a biopsy to see what they were, but there was something happened, and they made the wrong appointment, that's what it was. Otherwise she would have been down to the vets last week. She wasn't walking very well, and like I say, she was dragging her back legs. I couldn't even take her for a walk anymore, even on the riverbank. So she ended up being in the house. She actually, last year, she had an operation. She had something called pyometra. It was an infection of the womb, and I was told that that was life-threatening. She first was on antibiotics for that, but because it never went away, I went back down to the vets with it, and that's when they said they would do an operation. But with Sheba being an old dog, it was a risk. But she got through it. Yeah, she got through it, and I think her health sort of went a bit downhill after that, you know, because she kept getting infections and the likes. But yeah, but yesterday I was really heartbroken, you know. really heartbroken. Going through things there, like food, and she had bags of treats. I've got 2 bagfuls of treats, you know. Getting rid of, I can't really give her beds away because the beds were knackered, you know, they're falling apart, so I just had to chuck them. And like I say, it's quite quiet without her. I was just looking through videos there with Sheba in them, and it brought tears to my eyes, you know, because remembering I was going over on the riverbank, and they're playing in the river, and us going for walks. That's my memory of her, really. Yeah, my memory. Like I say, I'm not really sure whether to get another dog. You know, it's something that has to be thought about, because with my work commitments now, it's been here, you know, for the dog. I know Jason's here, but it's something that I really do need to think about. When our Rexy died, Andy missed him so much that I ended up looking for another dog, and that's how Horace came about. But it was a 7-month gap before I got Horace, and Horace wasn't exactly straightforward, you know. It was actually through I've seen it on one of these websites. I think it was Pets for Homes or something like that, but it wasn't Horace that I saw. It was a bitch that had pups by cesarean, and they didn't want the dog, so they offered it free to go home. Now there was an email address and also a telephone number, so I actually gave them to Andy, and he sort of inquired about it. But before we left the house to go and pick up this bitch, they said that there was a dog, 7-month-old dog, that was free to go home. Gave us the address and everything. Went up there and came back with Horace. Now with Sheba, it was a message on Facebook. It was directly to Andy, and it was about a dog. If anybody wanted a German Shepherd. We didn't know, well, at the time we didn't know whether it was a dog or a bitch, but Andy took it anyway. And yeah, I remember when we first got her, she actually bit Horace. Yeah, she bit him. She pulled like a freight train. Oh my God, the strength behind her was amazing. It was a nightmare taking them both for a walk, but I somehow managed it for some reason. But yeah, then obviously I always became ill, and he went for an operation and died, you know. And we just left with Sheba. Now, when Andy died, that's when I started going out for longer walks, because we were only restricted to over the field and on the riverbank, because Andy didn't like us going very far, and But with that freedom, me and Sheba went for longer walks. And then we found different routes, you know, went further afield. It actually become more interesting for us both. And when Jason moved in with me, we went on a couple of long walks to Stapleton and back. So, but then I found out there was one day Sheba had cried in pain, and it happened twice. But in the end, the first time I thought she had a thorn or something in her foot, and the second time it happened, I went down to the vets with her, and that's when I found out that she had arthritis, because her gait, the way she walked, you know, but she had arthritis in her knees, not her hips. And then later on, because she was on painkillers for that, later on she had the infection in her womb. Obviously she still had the problems with her ears, like that was an ongoing thing. But like I say, she started losing weight in the end, and she was more weaker in the back end. And now, like I say, that decision I had to make, I know it wasn't an impulse thing, it was something I had to seriously think about. But when her health when she couldn't stand up on Wednesday, that was the decision. That really was. She had a good innings, you know. She would have been 14 in August. She would have been 14 in August. For a German Shepherd, that's not bad. It's not bad at all. She was a spoilt dog, right? But it was only in the last 6 months or so she started losing the weight, becoming picky. And I could feel all the bones, you know. And I wasn't a bad person. She never got neglected. She was well looked after. So yeah, it's actually going to be hard, because last night I'm sure I heard her breathing, because obviously she would lie next to the bed, you know, in the bedroom. But she wasn't in obvious pain. She would whinge, she would heavy breathing, you know. So but she will be missed. That's one thing for sure. I'm gonna go now, okay? And I will speak soon, and toodaloo for now.